you said several things. I'm gonna do
Good
this because I'm gonna
stuff.
ask you a question.
Yeah.
One, as you said, it's about relationships. It's who you know, and who you know, and who you cultivate that relationship. So I think that's really good. Obviously, you've been around in the university world, the V Foundation. There are a lot of people with deep, deep
Woo.
pockets. So, how do you approach it? Because this is something we see people struggle with all the time. What the number one thing? What's the number one thing we see people not doing, Trevor? When we talk to them every week, not asking for enough
Not.
money.
I was gonna say, as it, yeah, they don't probably not having the right conversations. Yeah,
Well, they're
yeah,
just not asking for enough money most of the time.
yeah,
Most of the time, for,
yeah.
for me and my
Mhm.
my experiences,
I think that's a fear and insecurity thing, right?
and
That's
and
a
so
and
so
Carnal
so
yeah,
security.
Casey,
yeah.
tell us how you number one overcome that, get around that whenever you're going to somebody that has got can write a check for $500,000 and not miss it.
And not miss it. Yeah.
Because we like to say $10,000 and not miss it. Usually, what we're looking for, but
We
in
know
that
you're
case,
rubbing elbows with some different characters for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. The coaches. Well, he's talking about these
Yeah, it's
these
like
D1 coaches out there. Good Lord, they make a lot of money.
just the branding of what you're working with is just
Yeah,
amazing to me. But
yeah.
yeah,
But
I don't
but so
want to get you
tell
off
us
the
tell
topic.
us about that whenever you're going into that and you're thinking about making and you're making this ask and you're doing that. Talk about that, Casey.
I think the number one thing that always sticks out in my mind, and I couldn't even tell you who told me this, but it sticks out. A lot of these successful business owners, or maybe they don't own a business and they just have been successful. They are almost, not always, but most of the time, they're almost offended if you ask less.
Yes, true
And
story.
it's Chris Voss. Is that start with a no, or oh man, I'm drawing a blank on the
Okay.
book now. Oh shoot. Anyways, you almost the conversation begins with start with a no, because then you can start to work backwards a
Yeah,
little bit.
from the
And
math.
yes, and also if they say no, a lot of fundraisers are like, "Ooh, I'm going to get out of there." I think that's where the conversation
Yeah.
begins, because then you could say, "Hey, is this no?" Often means not now, maybe later. I don't think you're getting to a point to have that conversation, and it's that preemptive. Hey, would you be willing for me to stop by and bring a presentation to you about you getting involved with X, Y, and Z? I've been really saying X, Y, and
No,
Z
that's fine.
often. We're gonna go A,
Yeah.
B, and C. They're
No, we
probably
get it.
A, B, and C are feeling a little
Yeah,
left out
we
right
get
now.
it.
So we'll go with, can I give you an idea on A, B, and C
Yeah.
presentation? And if they say yes, boom, you're golden.
Yeah.
You're set. You know that there's an expectation set for you to come in and have that conversation with them. And then you go in and you ask for maybe that $500,000, and they say, "Yeah, I don't think I
That
can
was your
do
no.
that."
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
perfect. Now we're
Yep.
cooking. Now we're cooking. Let's start to work backwards a little bit. So I think you got to develop that fear of also getting rejected 99% of the time almost. You've got to be okay with being told
Yeah.
no. And I think if you start the conversation with no, you're in the right
I love that.
space. I think the worst part is when you say, "Hey, would you be willing to do 100,000 or
Exactly.
500,000?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, wonderful. Where's the
Yeah.
document?" Am I missing something
Yeah. Yeah.
here? And the key is to not look at them as like an object. And
Totally.
again, if you have those relationships already set forth and they feel comfortable enough to tell you no,
That's a
or
win.
say, "Hey, that's
That's
too
a big
high,"
toe. That's a big toe. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. And again, I'm not perfect, none whatsoever. I went in and I was going to ask this gentleman for 50,000 over 5 years, so 250K. He beat me to the
Whoa.
punch, and he sat down. And he goes, "Hey, I'm going straight here. I don't know what you're going to ask me for, but is 100,000 okay over the next?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we go for half a
Yeah.
million. That's
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
wonderful." But my mindset was I was going to ask him for
Yeah.
50. So obviously, I didn't do enough work or ask enough
Research.
open-ended
Sure.
questions to get them
Yeah.
going. I missed that boat. Now I'm
Yeah.
grateful that he just straight out said, "Look, this is the max I can do. Anything over that is I'm going to get a divorce. My wife's going to divorce me. So this is our max, but keep working
Yeah.
with me."
I love that.
He left the
You
I
know,
door
love
I,
open.
that.
I, I think, and that's the whole thing is when and what I hear you saying is you're reaching out and make a connection with the organization, whatever that organization is, whatever the mission is, you're reaching out to do that. Well, then it really just becomes a point of where they want to commit at this point in time.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
always talk about donor retention, donor recruitment, yeah, you may sit there and go, this guy can give $500,000 and not miss it, but he may not be ready to do that because he's not there yet. He
Yeah.
doesn't know enough about your
And he doesn't
organization.
understand the impact
Well,
yet. Exactly.
yeah,
Enough.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I know somebody that went. I know somebody that made an ask, $500,000. Took her up. It was a really big deal for her to do this. And the guy could definitely write the check. But where she wasn't ready to receive it, because she couldn't say, well, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do this with. This is how this is going to change everything. She wasn't ready to receive it. But she since then has went and made she got a $250,000 donation. This is a very small foundation. And, but she was ready to receive it. She knew what the mission was. She was able to say, this is what we're going to do. This is how lives this
The
can
impact we're
impact.
going to have with this, yeah. With smaller numbers, Casey, we talk to a lot of folks that are thinking for some reason because of their relationship with money. You know what I mean? And that can be a big roadblock for people when they're asking. They think about like, oh, well, I wouldn't, and it's so asinine to think that way. It's real, and I'm not disparaging anyone for having those feelings. However, we're trying to tear down those walls, so to speak, right? Where it's like, we don't think with our capacity. That's not and of course, you stack up a few of these wins and you'll erode that, psychology quickly,
Well,
right? But so many folks,
they come in waves. They come in waves.
And so many folks have a lot of trepidation because they're just like, oh, that's a humongous number because I don't even know how much that much money looks like. You know what I mean?
Well,
Or
a lot of people, they truly do not have a concept of it. And for them,
of that kind of wealth and abundance.
they don't come from that. They weren't exposed to it, so they haven't been around people, so they don't know how they talk, how they walk, how they feel. The fact that they still put pants on one leg at a time,
they're still people.
They're just people. They got all the same stuff going on. Realize they got a big checkbook, but they still have stuff going on. I think that's where, and because you keep pointing back to this. It's about relationship, Casey. I keep hearing you talk about that. Well, you're not having a relationship with their checkbook, right?
Good call. It's not transactional. Yeah.
It's
with the mission.
person.
It's the impact. That's really cool feedback because I know you're dealing with some big numbers, Casey, for sure. Now it's also when it comes to meeting these folks and understanding what they've been affected by. It's now we've had a few guests on kind of allude to this where you can do research about people without being creepy. You know what I'm saying? You can see where they're giving.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can make a connection with them and see how they're living on LinkedIn and things like that. You're an adopter of this, I'm assuming, as well, getting to know these folks and where they're giving and where they're spending their time and researching, these donors, correct? Yeah. So
yeah, it's almost a social footprint.
Correct.
What is their social footprint out there? And I think that maybe this is a mistake.
Yeah.
I think mistake's a bad word for it, but sometimes it's beneficial that you go in to that meeting with a donor and you already know everything about them.
Okay, cool.
And then you feel almost robotic. I think there's almost there's a happy medium where you're operating in a world of gray to where just enough to where you kind of guide it, but not too much. Yeah. And then you obviously come off as the creep of like, oh, hey, I noticed that. You don't say that you noticed this on their post from Facebook. Totally. 13 years ago. Yeah, you got to have that happy medium, and whether it's $4.17 a month to get to $50 a year, or it's $25, $50, $100,000 a month, you've got to be able to the relationship, an authentic, natural relationship. I mean, I'm wearing this, or if somebody's going door to door and they're selling solar panels, or something about religion. I'm not stupid. They know why you're there. They know why you're there to have that conversation. The first win is them saying, "Yes, let's talk."
Yeah, that's.
And
I think that's one of the big misunderstandings. It's like they know you're going to ask them for money. They probably have an idea. I'm thinking about the times in my life that I've gone into a situation where I knew they were going to ask for money. I already had a number in mind.
And most people probably do, right?
Most people already kind of have a number in mind where they want to be. Now, that doesn't mean it can't change, because I've had it go up and I've had it go down based on the conversation. But I'm just thinking in my lifetime, and just as a world of being an entrepreneur and people coming and asking me for money, it's been like that. Whether I'm willing to do some more or do less or something. But I've always kind of had a number in my mind. And
I don't think you're different. I don't think you're different than
no. I think I'm just a regular dude. I don't think that's anything.
No, but you know what I mean, though. As far as like that,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's not like you're asking. Casey calls me up and says, "Hey, Jason, it's Casey with the V Foundation. Hey, do you mind if I come somebody and talk to you?" I've got a pretty good idea, since we've never talked before, that you're coming to talk to me about money.
Yeah.
and that you
Yeah.
want to, that you're
Yes.
looking for some of mine. And so
Yeah.
that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then it does become
Mm-hmm.
about relationship because, let's just say I'm coming to ask you for money. And if I'm a total schlep, and kind of a jackass about it or something like that, it just doesn't work well. But if you come in there
Right.
if I come in truly interested in getting to know who you are,
Mm-hmm.
what makes you tick, why,
Yeah.
why did you even take this meeting? Obviously, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's always kind of a fun thing. Look, I just want to start off by saying, I'm with the such and such foundation or whatever, and I'm here to ask for you for some money. So I'm curious,
Mm-hmm.
why did you even take this meeting?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting question.
Open-ended, get that
Yeah.
answers, and you can kind of process and build out that
Mm-hmm.
meeting from the cookie crumb trails that they
Yeah.
give you. And I think a lot of fundraisers skip over those cookie crumb trails and go straight to the ask or straight to let's talk
Mm-hmm.
money. You know, one of the when I was an assistant softball coach, Division One, we took over a program that had 15, 20 straight losing
Oh wow.
seasons. We were asked to flip the program, and with that, you know, donor or not donors, but recruits, was tough to get. Yeah, they know that I'm going to go talk to them
Yeah.
about, hey, you should come
Mm-hmm.
play at
Yeah.
Utah
Yeah.
State. Hey, we had 20 straight losing
Yeah.
seasons, so we had to kind of become more of a brand marketing of, posting, hey, Taco Tuesday, after
Yeah.
practice, all that fun
Yeah.
stuff, and little things here and there. But you know, I would get to know the recruits. We brought in a top 25 recruiting class
Mm-hmm.
one year, and we hadn't even had a winning season
Yeah.
at that point. And I remember our head coach, loved Steve Johnson, great guy. And he's like, "Hey, take over recruiting,
Yeah.
own it." All right. And he called me up, "Hey, how'd the conversation go with so and so?" And I'm like, "Well, they love California burritos. They're all about romantic comedies. They're they really like sweatpants." And little
Yeah.
things like this.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Okay, that's great, that's cool, Casey, but whoa, are they interested?" Well, I think they are. I mean, they took the call. And like, well, what do they want to study? I'm like, well, first off, because the recruiting's crazy, they're a freshman in high school. They don't even have their driver's license
Yeah.
yet. They don't even know what they want to do in this summer besides play softball. And it took him a couple of times to realize that I'm just trying to get to know them as an individual, because every coach is calling them saying, "Hey, let me talk to you about Smurthwaite State University, home of the Fighting Smurfs.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me talk about the
Yeah.
physical."
Yeah.
Every university in college, I swear, is top 15, top 5 in
Totally.
something.
Yeah.
Whether most beautiful
Yeah.
Yeah.
campus, this
Yeah.
program,
Mm-hmm.
best
Yeah.
air. But it's I joke about that, but when they got older, they knew that I had a relationship with them. But now this is where the kicker came in. The third or fourth time after a conversation, and then we get them to campus for an unofficial or official visit, I all of a sudden knew how to structure the campus visit around some of the things
Yeah.
they like. Oh, I remember they like that California burrito. Oh, they instead of putting out the shoes, let's bring out the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sweatpants. Let's show them the sweatpants they get if they
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
here. And oh, they like romantic comedies. Great, we're gonna have a theater night, and we're gonna have a romantic
Yeah.
comedy
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna put up the Bachelor or
Yeah.
Bachelorette. I don't know, whatever they're into, and that's how we got them to say yes, because we knew the little
Yeah.
things. The devil's in the
Yeah.
details, and the devil's also in the details with donors.
100%.
Get to know them, get the cookie crumb trails, and then you can close the deal and have that relationship with them, because that was like no other visit that they had versus the campus tour. Yeah, we did all that, but we knew exactly their touch points were, because for the first 2 years of the recruiting process, or as a donor, I knew about their kids. I knew about what their likes were. I knew, what their wife was into to CrossFit, or yeah, they like to
Yeah.
travel. I knew when their birthdays
Yeah.
were. Those little
Yeah.
things mean
I think it's
everything.
huge. I just have a theory. It's like, because we just keep on talking about the never-ending conversation about relationships and whatnot. For good or bad or indifferent with what's going on in the world and all these bad things that we can say about the world and media and phones and how we treat each other, I think people can smell BS better than they probably ever have before. So you were talking about having like a deep, authentic conversation and building authentic relationships, and that term gets thrown around a lot. Be your authentic self
It
and all
does.
that good stuff. But that's realness at the end of the day. And I think people can smell better than ever. I really actually do. I think their radar with smelling BS is higher than it's ever been, and more honed than it's ever been. I really, really feel that way. We're experiencing that with our clients and new people and whatnot. They just they just get it. We're very transparent, and And there's nothing to chance. There's nothing left to chance.
Casey, you said, you were talking to these kids whenever they're freshmen. You know, obviously they're not, like you said, they don't even know what they're going to do for the summer besides play softball. That's their whole world. So, but you're going from, you're talking about a freshman who may not commit until they're a junior or senior in high school when they have, the signing and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
you're talking about making and having patience, I guess is what I'm saying. Patience with
that's huge.
developing the
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a
and not
really,
having an
really
agenda.
great
Yeah.
point to say, we have a friend, she's a CEO of a nonprofit here in Oklahoma City where I live. And she came on and she talked about, cultivating a relationship for 5 years with a guy, 5 years before he ever gave anything. And his first gift was $50,000. And, that does take time. I mean, these relationships
100%.
and you got to stop thinking about what you're going to get out of it. Well, I don't know. They don't ever give anything. I'm not going to talk to them.
Nah.
But can they? Do they have a connection
Yeah.
to your
Yeah.
organization, to your mission?
Yeah.
You got to have that mindset, and in an industry and in life right now, and the way everything's going, it's get in, get out. Let me come in and flip. And I've even had supervisors in the past, and again, we were talking about value and differentiation. I think the supervisors that maybe I internally go, man, I don't really like
Yeah.
that person, but I got to respect them. You learn the most from the difference, and you remember whether it's, hey, I'm never going to do it that way, or
Totally.
"Ooh,
Can be a huge
no."
teacher.
But yeah, exactly. But I remember them like, why are you talking to them if it's going to if this is going to be a long term play? It's like, well, it's not like I'm going to put all my effort into this one person. I am going to differentiate and expand my portfolio, but this is somebody that's going to make a difference. Again, whether it's for for a V Foundation, it's somebody's going to be an all-star giver. They're going to help us fund the next research grant, to cure colon cancer, to get it to clinical trials. This person's going to help set up an endowment that ended up. This is a true story. Ended up being close to $2 million, and that was a long-term play.
course.
And I even remember one of my supervisors just saying, "Hey, I just don't know if that's going to be worth our time." Like, I get it,
But
partly because everybody's revolving door of employment. Let's go change there. You quiet quitting, all this stuff. The rage applying I read about on LinkedIn the other day. But if you really believe in what you're doing, you truly do, whether you're at the V Foundation or you're at Sonoma State University, you're going to be able to fundraise. You have that mindset of both the short and long term. And that test gift in the short term is going to lead you to success in the long
very
term.
good.
Great stuff.
Ooh, that's good.
Everybody,
Casey.
thank you guys so much.
Wow.
KC Smurthwaite,
I know
V
it-
Foundation. God, that
Super
was really
busy time
good
for
stuff.
you. Yeah.
Bro,
I know it's a busy time for you. Thanks for
We
making
normally
the time,
we're
brother.
losing 15, 20.
No, thank you for
you
having
listen.
me. I
We're
appreciate
15 to 20 minute guys, and so we've blown past that, and
I've
we
noticed.
really
I
appreciate
feel
it.
bad.
Feel
So,
bad
no,
at all, man. People
no,
need
it's
to
all
hear
good
this stuff, brother.
It's good
And we'll do it
stuff.
again. And we'll do it again.
For sure.
Wonderful,
For sure.
wonderful.
Thanks for making the time.
At least we'll go part 1, part 2, because now I feel bad. We went bad and we went long, but I hope somebody picked
we
one
had
or
some
two
Plenty of
things
people are going to
out.
get value out of it,
But you
brother.
guys-
Plenty of
Lot
people are
of
going to get
value.
value out
Oh,
of it.
good.
Thanks for the
Well,
time.
what you all do
Yeah.
is great, and I appreciate it. And if there's anybody out there, definitely, HGA fundraising. It's there, it's real, and I appreciate you all
Thanks,
taking the
brother.
time to
Thank you, man.
let me
All
speak.
right.
I
All right. We'll
appreciate
be
it.
in touch.
All right.
Thanks, Casey. Thanks so much for coming on. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, brother.